I've played this game for over 1,000 hours now, and I'm going to teach you everything I've learned about Enshrouded's Ranger class. I'm your boy Winter Phoenix, and if this video helped you in any way, drop a like and a comment to let me know you want more just like this. To truly be a good ranger, you'll need to understand that you're only as good as your prep time. You can easily grab a bow and a few arrows before heading out into the wilds, but you'll be back at your base respawning in no time. As a ranger, we don't have the leisure of a huge HP pool like tanks, or chain lightning abilities to spam from afar like our mage brethrens. Or do we? Let's talk about it. To be a good ranger, you need to be out in the wild, alive. And this can be harder for the ranger class because we've got some glaring weaknesses. Small HP pools, poor in close combat, everything we do has to be flashy, you know, the typical stuff. Well, we can actually alleviate these with the right armor and weapons, which is what we're going to cover first from head to toe. Literally. Starting at the head, we are wearing the Alpine Antler Hood. This gives us great critical strike damage and ranged critical strike chance, along with 2 frost resistance. This is one of 2 from the new Hunter set released in the new update. The next piece is our chest, and it's also a 1 of 2 combo from the Alchemist. Yeah, we are mixing and matching armor sets, but this build is finely tuned for all situations you'll find yourself in. The chest piece is the Thaumaturg chest? Thaumaturg chest? I don't know. I'm sure I butchered that, but this piece gives us a decent bump in HP with 150 bonus points and 120 mana as well. This also gives you a whopping 4 frost resistance. Next, we get our second hunter piece with the Alpine Antler gloves. These gloves come with an 8% increase in range damage and 15% damage boost to flying enemies. That's drakes, desert chickens, shroud chickens, it doesn't matter. These also come with 1 frost resistance. Next, we move south of the border and throw on our only tank item, the Mountain's Shadow Trousers from the blacksmith. These give an extra 112 HP and a +3 to health regen. 2 more frost resistance to boot, and we're onto our boots. For our footwear, we're wearing the Thaumaturg boots for the 5 mana regeneration and the shorter cooldown on that regeneration. Also, 2 more frost resistance points doesn't hurt. This combination of armor is the most well-rounded build we can get. It adds mana and HP to our overall stats along with regeneration. This is important to help keep our resources topped off for basically free outside of a little time passing. You also get lots of bonuses to your overall damage and range damage with this set. Not to mention the frost resistance that you stack, allowing you to venture into the mountains for longer. Now, before we move into some weapons, let's cover our rings. These are probably the most flexible pieces as it really doesn't matter too much. Rings give you a nice little buff, but this build works with or without rings contributing to your DPS. I will cover them real quick though, so here we go. I do like to wear the exceptional ring of mana for the bonus 25 mana and +3 mana regen. Our second ring is the Ring of Frost for those early mountain adventures. As a ranger, you should never have a shield out. We block and parry with our daggers or our face. No in between. Moving on to our weapons, we have 3 to choose from. We have our bow for our main source of damage as a ranger, and then we have a pair of daggers that I have picked to optimize this build's abilities and our max dexterity stats. Lastly, we have our trump card. These weapons cannot be beaten and spell instant death for anyone we use them on. I'll show you those at the end of this part. I want to talk about the daggers we are using first because there are a few options you can run with this build, and I prefer these, the Parade daggers. These can be found in the new Hollow Hall for the Alpine Summits. That might sound intimidating, but I'm going to show you the entire hall in this very video. Follow me in the background while I explain why I use these daggers. These daggers can drop at max level for the best stats possible. They also come with 2 stacks of Merciless Strike to increase your damage by 40%. The Merciless Strike I'll cover in the skills tree part, but it is an ability that allows you to perform a massive attack to any stunned target. While we work on building that stun bar, these daggers also have an increased chance to poison their target. They also come with a little shroud damage, which just increases damage done to enemies not affected by the shroud. As you can see in the background, these are very easy to obtain. The new Hollow Hall is literally just a hollow hallway, with a legendary chest sitting at the end of it. Set up your altar, ensuring this yellow line isn't touching the legendary chest, and you can load in and out to keep re-rolling this chest. Now for our bow. We're using the brand new Avalanche bow added in the Albaneve Mountain update. It is a legendary bow that can be leveled up to level 40 for max stats as well, but that's not all. It comes with piercing damage and ice magic, but that's not why we're here. We want the other 3 stats from Brutal for increased critical hit damage by 20%, Enduring, which increases stamina regeneration by 1, and Health Leech. It restores 5% damage done as HP. And the best part of all is I just showed you how to get this bow as well. That's right, both the daggers and bow can be found in the legendary chest from the new Hollow Hall. And for our final weapon of choice and our ace up our sleeve, we have Nuck and Buck, and they're here to That is, of course, with the help of a skill we'll cover soon called Be Gone. This skill alone will lock up any enemies that you can touch with it, giving you free blows with your daggers or bow. Now before I go into the skill tree, I want to quickly mention the foods we run. We actually have 4 slots to fill up on, so firstly we run the pumpkin soup with a fruit typing. This gives us a whopping 6 health regeneration and 4 stamina recharge, along with more frost resistance. Secondly, we have the chicken soup with the meat typing, and this gives us 4 constitution for that extra HP and 1 dexterity for increased damage with our bow and daggers. Our third food is a healthy vegetable soup with the vegetable typing, and it gives a big boost in dexterity by 4. And for our last food item, we have something to wash it all down with, and that's the new milkshake added to the game. This liquid typing drink gives us 5 to our overall endurance and stamina recharge. It also gives us another 4 dexterity, increasing our damage even further. Now we move on to the skill tree, and I'm going to walk you through what I believe to be the most essential parts to this build first, so that if you're not max level or don't have all the skill points unlocked, you won't be missing any key parts. Just follow along with me as I explain the build. First thing we grab is Merciless Strike. This is why we carry the daggers we do. This skill will allow you to perform an execution of sorts once we stun an enemy in melee combat. Next we take the intelligence point and we move into Arcane Deflection. This gives us a flat 20 mana for every parry, which we do pretty often. Then we go into Evasion Attack for the amazing in and out tool that this provides. We can dodge big attacks and then jump right back in with a heavy blow. This is also key to increasing that stun bar as it doubles the effect on enemy stun bars if blocked. Since we are already here, grab the Battle Heal as well. It gives you a bit of healing when we land critical shots with our daggers. Then take Blink to change our slow combat roll into a quick dash. Sadly, this doesn't come with any iframes, but it does give you access to Emergency Blink that allows you to dash away while stunned. Crucial for those tough crowds that get the upper hand on you and you need to escape. Next, grab the Well Rested buff in the center and move on over to the first green node and take the path towards Double Jump. This is just obviously good for mobility and traversal. Now we go back to the far right green node and make our way into Updraft. We do grab an extra point into dexterity along the way, as well as a decrease in stamina consumption when gliding. And that covers the bare essentials. Now we can add the flavor. Finish out the assassin tree minus the very last endurance node at the end. That means you're going to take the sniper skill to increase the chance for ranged attacks to crit by 10%. Bless Arrows to restore 20 mana for every critical hit you land. Vitality Surge to restore 5 stamina for every ranged critical hit. And Bounty Bonanza for increased XP while adventuring with your friends. This is useless most of the time, but you need it to get to Ricochet, which increases the damage you do by 1 for every enemy hit with your explosive arrows. This pairs nicely with Shell Shock that stuns any target hit with an explosive arrow for the cost of 5 mana per shot. Now you see why we run the regen stats that we do. Next, take Graceful Stride for those dexterity points for every point into the flame. Finish out the tree with Chain Reaction, which gives your explosive arrows a chance to proc another mini explosion on impact. We then move over to the Ranger class and really sink our points into this tree. Take every skill here as well. We take Bee Sting, Multi-Shot, and Eagle Eye. This tree also provides lots of buffs to our ranged attacks. Bee Sting allows us to hover mid-air while aiming with our bow. You also get a little bump up every time you shoot so that you can get more shots off. This wasn't always the case with this skill. Multi-shot will trigger 20% of the time and release a flurry of arrows. Usually this doesn't apply to our special arrows, but once we finish off this tree, it does work with our explosive arrows too. This also works with the eternal arrows at the expense of a little more mana. Eagle Eye gives us a zoom in with our bow, and it makes a big difference when trying to hit those tight shots on barrels or even going for headshots. From Eagle Eye, we go into the Beastmaster tree, and we don't go all the way to the end though, as we only really want a few skills and that dexterity node at the top. We take the 2 poison resistant nodes simply because there's no other way around it, and we want to get to Dagger Master. This gives us a 15% damage boost to our daggers. We don't go into the poison nodes after this, but take the slice and dice skill to increase your bow damage after landing a critical hit with your daggers. Take the new quick reflex block as well. This helps us with our parrying in combat and helps save stamina. Take Vuka language next, not for the skill, but to give us access to the last dexterity node in the middle. And that will be it for the Beastmaster tree, and we can now finish the Survivor tree. From double jump, backtrack to Wanderlust. This helps when traversing via roadways as we consume less stamina when sprinting on them. Grab Swift Shot Sustenance for the chance to drop stamina orbs when killing with your bow, and then take Good Metabolism for the stronger orb drops and the increase in potency for our health and mana potions. Cap off this tree by going through Sweet Tooth into Dessert Stomach. This skill will give you 1 extra food slot, giving us a max of 4 food slots. And lastly, we go over to the Trickster tree for our final skill, Be Gone. We don't need the intelligence nodes, so we move into Be Gone through the spirit nodes and use the last of our skill points to get into blood magic. This little icing on top is nice because in the off chance you are running low on mana, this will kick in and trade HP for mana at a 1-to-1 ratio. And that is the entire skill tree. I'm going to show you how this build works now with some tips and tricks from my experiences running this build. It is my main build and I have beaten all the content in Enshrouded solo and with friends, so it's been fine-tuned for all experiences in Embervale. For this last part, I want to give some quick tips that took me some time to learn. Hopefully this will help you with the learning curve that comes with the Ranger class in Enshrouded. The first thing I want to show you is the lockup combo with Be Gone. This will work on all enemies except the new dragon boss because it's flying all the time, so there's another video for another day. To use Be Gone successfully, you'll want to learn to use the left alt key in combat. I keep my daggers in the number 2 keybind for a few reasons. If I pick up too much stuff and my bag is full, the next thing I grab will go into my hotbar. So if we keep our hotbar clean, in the background, anything we pick up will go into the first slot and tell me I need to go home or drop some trash items. More importantly, I like to keep the second slot empty on my hotbar so I can actually use Be Gone. Here, watch this. Here I switch hotbars with my daggers already equipped. Since I keep this slot empty, switching hotbars turns my daggers into Be Gone. Attack once to stun your target and then left alt again to pull your daggers back out and start wailing on your stunned target. Once they come out of stun, there is an animation showing you that they are waking up. They are subtle, but you'll notice them for each enemy. At this point, switch back into Be Gone and stun them again. Rinse and repeat this to take any enemy down or lock up something for your support buddies to get some licks in. My next tip is about another hotkey, and that's the Q key. This key is your ranged weapon by default, and it's the reason I keep my daggers out all the time. If I need to shoot anything, I will hold down the Q key to do so. Once you let the key go, you will switch right back into your daggers. This little setup allows you to have access to all 3 weapons at the same time. Now, if you want to optimize your ranged experience, limit yourself to only a few arrows. We do run the Eternal Arrow, so we don't need a lot of arrows on us. Only grab the specialty ones you'll need before heading out. I usually only carry 2 stacks of explosive arrows, level 1, and my Eternal Frost Arrow, nothing more. This is because if we are fighting with our bow and we do need to blow something up, I'm not scrolling through a menu of shroud arrows and iron arrows, obsidian arrows and flint arrows. It's either I'm shooting my eternal arrow or I'm blowing up the entire town. Never found a situation where neither of those 2 strategies didn't work. And that's all I got for you in this one, but that doesn't mean I'm out of tips and tricks for good. I've got plenty more over on my channel and I have plans to add even more. If you made it this far, then help me out this time. Hit that sub button to stay up to date with all my future releases. I got stuff coming out in 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, and even 2030 and beyond. And that's all I got for now. Later, nerds.